Back, Tony Gonzalez and Eric Mangini are back. Let's move to Nick Foles, who defied all expectations, leading the Eagles on one of the most improbable Super Bowl runs in history after Carson Wentz went down in Week 14. But with Wentz still considered the future of the franchise, Foles is already having to answer questions about his own future.
I'm not worried about my future right now. There'll be a time and a place to handle all that. But I take a lot of pride in wearing the Philadelphia Eagles jersey, and I just enjoy being here. It's such a great team. I'm excited for Carson Wentz coming back healthy.
I know you haven't had much an opportunity to think about this at this point, but is Carson Wentz still your starting quarterback? Will you have an open competition in training camp? Can a Super Bowl MVP go back to being a backup?
I knew I couldn't get off this stage without that question. You know what? We're just going to enjoy this moment. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to enjoy it. We're going to get on this plane, go back to Philadelphia. We're going to celebrate with our fans back in Philly. We got a long off season. Well, really a short off season now. We're just going to enjoy this moment.
Howard, Foles has a year left on his contract. You think he'll be an Eagle next season?
Yeah, and he should. They need him. He'll be the best backup in the league. And two, that offensive line and that coaching staff, two former NFL quarterbacks, you got momentum. Listen, man, you want to know who needs a quarterback? Arizona, defensive head coach. Denver, a guy you wanted fired, defensive head coach. Jets, defensive head coach. Bills, defensive head coach. That is built for a quarterback. That offense, that line, those backs, and Howie Roseman, they'll just,
Thank God you're not Foles' agent. He's making $5 or $6 million next year. What do you think he's worth now? You think he's going to settle for $5 or $6 million?
So you think he should go make $17 million for a coach in Denver you wanted out?
He has no choice to now. Last week, I wasn't expecting the guy to look like Roger Staubach and John Elway wrapped into one in the Super Bowl. Now that he's done it, his value's through the roof in this league. Brock Osweiler got $18 million. And this guy now has a chance to $18, $20 million. He's got to do it. He's got to leave. He's got to leave Philadelphia.
He doesn't have any choice. It's not his decision. He's got a year left under his contract. What's he going to do? Hold out?
Absolutely.
Oh, as a backup?
Hell yes.
Okay, well, then go ahead and hold out. You could argue, that coaching staff could argue, that organization could argue, we did it with you, we'll go do it with somebody else. I mean, they could make, that's going to be the counter argument in negotiation.
For value.
Well, I know, but you've got a situation where Carson Wentz got hit a significant amount during the course of the season. The amount that he got hit per dropback was significantly higher than a lot of other quarterbacks. You could easily be in a situation where Nick Foles plays again, and he's shown that he could do it.
If you were an NFL head coach, again, and just won a Super Bowl, and you were under some contract that paid you well below your value, your agent and you wouldn't say, hey, man, I just won a Super Bowl. You got to renegotiate here. You got to pay me what I'm worth.
Well, this is why it's so hard to repeat the second year after a Super Bowl, is because everybody on that team feels like they're worth significantly more than they were yesterday before they won the game.
Yeah, he's got a strong case. You know what? I hear you, but I think you have to really think about who Nick Foles is personally.
Yeah.
Personally, and understand this: he's
an American
Christian guy.
An American.
That locker room. A lot of people didn't. I found this out when I was out there this week. I was out at the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz Christian. And I'm talking about faith.
Oh, he's going to be a pastor.
It's a big deal. He wants to be a pastor, so he don't care about money. He wants to be a coach, football.
Wrong.
But I hear you. I think Nick Foles, he's not going to want. I thought about it. If that was me, I am gone. Or renegotiate. Give me $10 million instead of $5 million, and I'll be this guy's backup. And that's fine because he loves that locker room. He loves that locker room in Philly.
What pastor do you know that doesn't understand the power of money? No, and I mean that in a positive way in terms of...
One who has enough money to last the rest of his life. He's already been paid. He's got cash. He's very simple. It's not like he's going to Vegas like you.
No. I'm saying he's going to do great things with his money, and he's going to execute his Christian vision with that money. And someone, his wife, his pastor, his parents, his agent will explain... Baby, we can do a lot more good for God with an extra 18, 20 million coming in.
Can I show you a graph, though? This is what happens to, Super Bowl MVPs when they leave the good team. Yeah, here's Jeff Hostetler and Doug Williams the year after they dominated the Super Bowl.
Doug Williams was old, and Jeff Hostetler none of these guys did.
Oh, yeah, Nick Foles was out of the game. Had to be talked in by Andy
But they also
Reid.
go to horrible teams after this, right? I
Well,
mean,
where do you think Nick Foles would be?
That's what I'm saying. You're right. That's why I think he's going to be in Philly.
He'd go to the Jets.
Nick Foles also had an unbelievable season at one point where he threw, 26 touchdowns and 2 picks.
Yeah.
And then after that, there wasn't very much going on with him until he got back in Philadelphia.
There wasn't a lot going on with Kurt Warner either when he was bagging.
All I'm saying is it's not a predictable. You can't sit there and say this is definitely how he's going to play.
But
next year.
that owner, they owe him some cash. He played lights out, and the reason they won the Super Bowl is because of him. He's the MVP. Absolutely, they need to renegotiate his contract. Give him $10, $12 million.
How about you give a nice check to his church?
No. If I'm Jacksonville, all the quarterbacks out there, if I'm Jacksonville, why wouldn't I want Nick Foles? Why wouldn't I want Nick Foles over Kirk Cousins? Why wouldn't, if I'm Denver?
But which guy is he? Is he the guy that we saw a few years ago that goes 26?
I'm not sure.
That's everybody.
I know, but then he disappeared, and then he had this run. Before the playoffs, there was nobody that was going to be knocking his door down.
Not everybody's a gamble. You and I sat on this show for 6 months and went, doesn't everybody see how good Jimmy Garoppolo was? You and I weren't shocked that he was really good. Aaron Rodgers isn't a gamble. Breeze, Big Ben, Brady, Wentz, Luck, Russell Wilson. Those guys aren't gambles.
That paid Brock Osweiler.
Okay, that was a bad...
You're telling me he doesn't inspire more hope than Matt Flynn?
He does.
A bunch of other guys. He's the best quarterback. I would put the biggest bet on him of all the guys that are available.
I think you can make that argument. Okay. But I'm saying is the teams that need a quarterback are mostly awful with defensive staffs.
Jacksonville, Denver. Isn't there another good?
Cleveland?
Not Cleveland.
Jets.
Buffalo, Jets,
Minnesota may need a quarterback.
Here's the thing. I agree with what you're saying, but I just think from a personal standpoint, he doesn't want to leave. He could leave, and probably if that was you or me,
didn't you love Case Keenum 2 weeks ago?
He's under
I do like
contract.
Case Keenum. What?
He can't go anywhere. He's under contract. Where's he going to go?
If he plays for that money, I'm going to eat one of my hats on air. If he plays for that money.
You sound like a guy who's broken a lot of contracts.
He should. Coming up, Terrell Owens told me to, quote, kick rock for saying he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to give him my response. Next!